Queen Anne's War was the American theater of the War of Spanish Succession, fought between Spain and 4 European powers, including Britain, France, the Dutch, and bits of the Holy Roman Empire. By all accounts, it was a convoluted mess that saw France seize the settlement at Pensacola, which was then part of the Spanish colony of Florida. By this point, both Spain and France controlled vast swaths of what is now America, and both laid claim to the Mississippi River. The situation was made worse when the French founded New Orleans in 1718. Spain's renewed interest in Texas was spurred by French encroachment into their territory. Last season, we saw how the French and Indian War led to France losing all her North American territory to the British. This was the final conflict in a series of global wars fought between 1607 and 1763, in which the major European powers engaged in a struggle for dominance and control over their foreign empires. Here in modern Louisiana and Texas, France and Spain both sought to control the region and the vital trade route of the Mississippi River. Taking advantage of Spanish neglect of their frontier, the French attempted to lay claim to land along the Mississippi. In 1685, Robert La Salle set out to establish a French colony and control over the lower Mississippi. Unfortunately, his maps were inaccurate, and his party missed their target, and they instead landed at Matagorda Bay here in modern Texas. Archaeologists from the Texas State Historical Commission excavated Fort St. Louis. Artifacts from the fort and the LaBelle are on display here at the Museum of the Coastal Bend in Victoria, Texas. Curator Elizabeth Nussera showed me around the museum.
Elizabeth, the excavations at the fort identified some specifically French artifacts, am I right?
Yes, so the big clue was the cannons, because we do know that these came from the French, from the La Salle ships, and that finding these cannons is what actually determined where Fort St. Louis was, because there was kind of a debate about where exactly the site was. And then among some of the other ones were ceramics, military pieces, weapons, daily life type of things. And then there were also, since the Presidio was on top of it, there were also Spanish artifacts found and also Native American artifacts found at the site.
Right, and the Spanish are in this part of the world in response to the French.
Yes, so when the Spanish got word that the French were out here, they sent expeditions to try to find exactly where the French were, and Alfonso de Leon is who was tasked with that, and he actually found Fort St. Louis in 1689, and by that time the site had been abandoned.
Archaeologist Jeff Williams explained how this played out geopolitically in what is now East Texas.
The Spanish were worried the French were invading. And so by 1719, they were moving all the way back to San Antonio, and all the missions were closed here. In 1721, Domingo Ramon comes back and rebuilds the missions and then builds Los Adayas, the fort.
Jeff told me that trade in the region was driven in part by the wars in Europe.
And there was steady trade with the garrisons in Nacogdoches, and a lot of the trade goods were going to Indian traders and stuff for horses. And they were trading out on the plains in the Red River for these massive amount of horses. And this was a tradition that was following the French, who were supplying Napoleon and the wars in Europe with these thousands of horses and mules.
America from the Ground Up is made possible in part by Central Michigan University's College of Humanities and Social and Behavioral Sciences, the Missouri Humanities Council, and the Kirby Foundation, a family foundation supporting education.